Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the cert-manager weekly meeting, not bi-weekly anymore. It's the 15th of January 2026, and we have a bunch on the agenda, although a lot of it is triaging stuff that Marden has found, which is awesome, but we may or may not have time to get around to that. Um, We will start out with someone's putting a shout out to Tim for implementing typed handlers in cert-manager. I reviewed that earlier today, I think, and um, I agree it's worthy of a shout out. It seems cleaner than what we had before. Um, so yeah, we'll celebrate that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
it was me basically. So I had to do a lot of like typecasting in my ex-listeners at PR. And yeah, just rebasing that. Yeah, it's so much cleaner. I don't have to do any typecasting.
yeah, fantastic. That's an immediate impact right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. On the assumption that nobody else wants to jump in with any other announcements or shout outs, we have you first on the agenda, Hemant.
Yep.
Would you like to introduce the topic?
Yeah, yeah. So let me just figure out how to share my screen. Let's see. Is my screen visible?
It is, yeah.
Okay. So basically, what happened was I started adding end-to-end tests for X listener set, but Contour doesn't seem to support it yet. So we had to move to Istio uh, to do because they do support that. But then, like, I have no knowledge of Istio, so I started working with Mile to set it up, and then I couldn't get it working. So that's the first thing is I wanted to get everyone's opinion on is Istio okay for end-to-end testing first of all, and then like yeah, if you guys have some awareness about Istio, then I would love to know if I'm doing something wrong while setting it up.
Fair enough. I I don't know if I have a strong opinion on Istio one way or the other. My experience of it from very limited experience of it from working with Istio CSR and the tests there,
Mhm.
was that I didn't have to do too much different on that. Like there was a way to set it up and that
Mhm.
worked, and I never needed to think about it again, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Beyond that, I Istio does a lot of stuff,
Yep.
and my concern without knowing if this is going to be true at all, so I'm not saying this is definitely a problem, but my concern
Mhm.
would be that Istio will change something about the cluster which makes it less relevant to in a testing scenario than other
Mhm.
clusters may be
Yeah.
without Istio.
Yeah, yeah, I think like so I went with the sidecarless model to set it
Mhm.
up, and yeah, the concern I see here is we have to install Istio CNI.
Mhm.
Yeah, as you said, it might like do something to the cluster. The other project that I saw which implements X listener set is K gateway, so we could use that too instead of Istio. But uh, yeah, I'm
Are
not.
we also going to use it to test ingress? Because I know Istio does things differently to a lot of other ingress providers, whereas other ingress providers let you reference a secret for certificates in your current namespace, whereas if you reference a secret in an Istio ingress object, it will take it from the Istio namespace, which people have been complaining about for a long time, and they've said they're not going to fix.
Hmm.
I suppose that probably implies that we can't realistically use it for uh, ingress testing as well, right? If it's that different.
It would be nice to have the same thing for testing ingresses and gateways
Hmm.
and listener sets, of course. Hemant, have you asked in SIG Network Gateway API which
No, no.
alternatives
Mhm.
it would probably be worth asking there if someone has an opinion on what we could use, because we
Mhm.
want something that support most of the features, but at the
Yeah,
same time it is kind of common in a sense that it behaves like most software.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good idea. Um,
I think we should try to do that because we have an open issue about replacing Ingress Nginx, which is now end of life.
mhm.
So if we could do both things in the kind of the same in the same round, it would be very beneficial as I see it.
True. Yeah, so
So,
something to replace Ingress and Nginx too.
so if I were to try and summarize that, I guess it feels like Istio isn't the right choice necessarily here because we wouldn't be
Mhm.
able to use it for ingress testing, and ideally we'd like both to be both gateway and ingress to be tested on the same thing. So I've put into chat how we install Istio CSR, Istio with Istio CSR's end-to-end tests, and that might not be useful if we decide not to use Istio, but it's there anyway now.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I am not familiar enough in the space to know what other options would be appropriate, so I like Eric's suggestion of asking what others are
Mhm.
going with. It's
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
interesting.
lot of there's a lot of
Mhm.
activity there, and the people are very friendly, and
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure you will get a quick response. You'll probably get multiple suggestions, but that's a good thing, I
Yeah,
would say.
yeah. Yeah, okay. I'll post in there today and see what people say. From what I saw, like K Gateway was one of them, which implements X listener set. And I think we can use that for Ingress too because it's basically like Kong and other providers. But yeah, I can definitely post and see if people have other ideas. Uh, yeah, that's one of the things I want to talk about because I didn't want to spend a lot on Istio and then yeah, people saying that it's probably not a good idea to do Istio.
Fair
But yeah,
point.
that's it from my side.
Cool. I think that's great that we've moved forwards on that and we know where we're going next. Before we started the recording, Nicolas, you said you wanted to introduce Andres. Shall I hand it over to you briefly? Do you want to say hi?
Yeah, hi everyone.
Oh, it's
I
working.
had some trouble joining earlier, but
No worries.
should be good now. I work with Nicolas here at Microsoft. We're working on projects, internal projects where we leverage cert-manager. Um, I'm I'm a principal architect on the team, looking at the security of various products of ours, how we leverage certificate management as part of that, and the lifecycle, of course. So cert manager is of keen interest. And together with Nicholas, we've adopted cert manager in various places. We're looking at potentially addressing some of the rotation concerns that have been discussed in existing GitHub issues already around certificate authorities and basic trust anchors that cert manager actually has an ability to manage as well. So that's why I'm here today. But want to listen in first. If there's time, we can maybe look into, how and where we can start the process of discussing this particular concern or these existing issues. Nicholas shared that before the holidays in December, he already brought this up, and there seemed to have been some interest in the subject.
Sure. Well, it's great to have you here. Thank you for joining. The only other thing on the agenda currently is triaging, which is much less important than discussing things. So if you'd like to bring something to the table, then we can certainly make some time now to chat about it. Are you talking about the CA issue or stuff specifically, or is this more general? Like, where are you coming out with the renewal stuff?
Yeah, I can maybe share links to two existing GitHub issues in chat. First of all, and so one is the allow CA issue secret rotation issue 2478. The other one is support rotated certificate resources issue 560. And I believe that this 2478 has been around for quite a while. I see the first entry on the issue here was 2019, and I think there's been lengthy discussions as to what and how rotation could be achieved. Um, I think there were some suggestions of also changing existing behavior of some of the rotation approach of certificates. Um, I think before we talk about how, I wanted to generally ask, what the consensus is on trust anchors and rotating CAs in general. We can discuss that right now, but I'm also happy to start, an actual conversation on an issue, maybe a new issue. And I wanted to ask about, the format maybe first, how everyone would prefer discussing the matter, um, and get the ball rolling.
Start out here, and then we can always break out into other discussion forums if we need to. It would be my suggestion.
All right.
That's what these
Um,
meetings are for. Let's go for it.
So I don't have any slides ready, but I
Oh,
can try to summarize at a high level. So the way we think about CA rotation is that, contrary to leaf certificates, or say a certificate that maybe is used for TLS server authentication, we don't seek to fully replace the existing certificate and private key. We seek to create a new instance of it. And generally, if you look at public PKI, that's how the ecosystem works too. New CAs are being brought into the bundles, the browser bundles that are being distributed, and they slowly replace older ones while the CAs kind of transition, or an organization usually transitions from using an older CA to a newer one. Um, that ensures continuity, and that means that any certificates that have been signed by a CA that are valid up to a certain point in the future will continue to function and can be validated. And so we think about rotating a CA, a trust anchor on a cluster, as a similar problem. We want to add to the known trust anchors. We want to refresh the trust anchors by introducing a new CA at a certain point in time, at those rotation intervals, but without replacing the previous one, because that would otherwise invalidate existing leaf certificates immediately if they were being pulled out of the trust bundles that are being distributed to workloads. So I think that's the first principle that we've kind of defined for ourselves. And I wanted to generally ask whether that's the consensus of how folks see it here too. That contrary to lease certificates, we should avoid replacing them outright.
uh, very conveniently, and it's very rare that this happens. I did a coupon talk on exactly this topic, which said exactly what you just said. So I put that in chat, and I fully agree with you. I agree with that. So we should rotate root certificates. So excellent.
Yeah,
Great.
creating certificates as immutable just makes sense, especially if you're using cert-manager to rotate itself using new certificate objects, issue a new CA. Seems like a way to keep it all immutable.
Yeah. And usually, if there's no urgency to, say, revoke an existing CA, if you're in a normal operation mode, not assuming that a CA has potentially leaked, you would keep it around until it expires. And I think you manage your risk tolerance by defining the lifetime of your CA to whatever's appropriate, whether that's a year, whether that's a month, whether that's a week. Um, it will be valid for that amount of time, and that's the risk tolerance you have around the trust anchor. And then the rotation would try to preempt the expiry of that life cycle that is predefined with some reasonable margin.
There are some interesting challenges. Like you want to rotate what you're signing with at the point where you've got you can't issue certificates longer than your CA. So you need to start issuing like if you're issuing month-long certs, you need to start issuing like a couple of months before you start your expiry, because that's when it's going to stop being able to just issue the certs of the length that you want. So
That's right. So I think there's another GitHub issue somewhere that was called where it was called out that cert manager should ideally prevent issuing a leave certificate that outlives the lifetime of the CA. Um, I'm not sure if that's been addressed, but if it were, we could ensure that the operation would fail and it would require the introduction of a new CA with enough runway to essentially issue that lease certificate. But I want to keep I'm trying to keep additional problems out of scope for now, but those would be other issues that exist and mechanics that we would have to look into as well to have a complete picture and complete functionality that works well and seamlessly.
I think it's probably fair to say that um, that and the routes rotation stuff, especially with the CA issuer in cert-manager, which is where this is going to crop up because we're generating the route. Um, it it's all kind of just not thought about in the CA issuer. It's kind of the problem has always been that the CA issuer is just the simplest possible thing that gets the job done. So we end up saying it's for like testing or proof of concept type stuff because it's not got that sort of these deeper concepts of rotation baked into its design. Um, Part of the difficulty of it, as I'm sure you're aware, is like if we did anything kind of automatic with the say issuer, we end up in a world where we rotate that certificate for issuance and immediately other certificates become invalid because it's not trusted yet. And they like there's this really awkward step where the CA issuer kind of encourages you to share that root certificate outside of your cluster, but cert-manager is only scoped to the cluster, and so can't be sure if you've done that task or if it's safe to do any given operation with it once it's been generated. So it ends up being extremely conservative and not actually going that extra mile to help with it. And certainly I can speak for myself in saying that there's appetite to change that. Like I've wondered before about potentially a different issuer entirely, like a sort of CA issuer 2.0 or something that actually has this baked in and sort of forces you to think about it from the ground up and makes it clear that this will be a thing that could happen. Um, there's probably a lot of scope as well to change the existing CA issuer, but it is certainly I recognize all the things you're saying. I think they are still issues and that it's the kind of the problem child. Not as much of a problem child as a self-signed issuer, which I maintain shouldn't exist, but the CA issuer is kind of the one that's a bit awkward compared to the rest of them. Uh, Adam?
I was just gonna you said much of the things that what I raised my hand for, but on the subject of like a CA issue v2, it's almost like we want like a meta issuer where you provide issuer config of how it's going to issue itself its CA certificates, and then using some sort of template, and then it maintains CA certificates, and it kind of just forwards on the request to the appropriate CA that it should be signing with right now. And yeah, it's a meta issue. It's not doing any of the issuing itself. It's just forwarding on and organizing CAs that are doing the issuing and potentially gathering up all the certificates into a single secret app that can be used as a trust bundle.
I think those are really interesting ideas. The way we've looked at it first is to see if we could, at the minimum, introduce a reliable rotation without replacing the existing, uh, backing secret that it contains the currently valid CA certificate and private key. But like you all have already acknowledged, there are additional problems to handle, and at some point there may be a need for additional concepts too that cannot be encapsulated in the current resource design, I guess, or the way the spec around the CA issuer is defined. One additional problem that we've found is that the distribution of the trust bundle is obviously not immediate to workloads. Workloads, um, even if you use something like a trust manager that will update the bundle with the newly introduced CA and contains the previous valid one as well, It will have to be seen by the workloads, will have to be consumed. A workload might have to reload it. They might do so periodically, not immediately. They might do so only at startup. They might do it with a file watcher, but it's kind of very loosely defined how a workload does so. And so the presumption of eventual consistency need to be applied, but it's certainly not immediate. And so having the concept of a bake time or an incubation time before a newly minted CA should be used to actually sign certificates is another such problem that we've identified. It's not one that we wanted to address all at once, but it's certainly one that we also wanted to think about. And I think the idea of potentially having a CA issue v2 that would also allow you to not just define the rotation time, but also an additional period that permits the system to come to consistency before you start issuing new certificates with it is certainly interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can see that being config around not only like when should I rotate, but yeah, what should I be signing with right now, and like when should I be expiring things and things like that. That's I can see like those kind of blocks of configs kind of in a whatever issue of spec we end up with.
yeah. I'd not really thought about just having like a bake time, just r really simple, just period before, which I I I've I like that idea for sort of like it kind of it gives you a deadline and everyone kind of needs to adhere to it, right? There's something beautiful about that. I've certainly know of organizations where what they kind of want is they want the new CA to be issued and they want someone to hit a big red button to switch over, and like that's the plan that they want, is to have a switch over time. And I don't see why both things, a bake time and some manual concept, couldn't be included. Um,
I was gonna say we could be fancy and we could use the start issuing time as the not before time. So we issue a certificate that's valid in the future that gets distributed out. But the issue with that is not all things that sign support issuing certificates that become valid in the future.
Yeah,
yeah, that's go on, sorry.
I, there could certainly be interesting ways to do so, either through a policy or through an inherent mechanism of a certificate such as not before. I think we are personally not we are not necessarily ready to discuss those downstream problems yet. I think we started with simply how can we introduce the rotation of a CA first. We're kind of working on a POC. I think it's something that we could present in a future meeting. And we can also take the conversation to a GitHub issue to start, a record of it. But it's certainly great to hear, that this is a problem that various folks here have been thinking about, and I wasn't aware of the talk, so very happy to see that, and I'm definitely going to be catching up on that.
I mean, it's not my best work, and I think it's from back when I had hair, so there's a bit of a jump scare when you actually see me on it. Warning there, but I think yeah, like if you presented a POC at a future meeting, I'd be super interested in seeing that. And this it's certainly a problem that exists, and the reason it's still a problem is no one's really had the sort of time to dedicate to solving it. And I would certainly make myself available for reviewing and getting things on board and into sort of cert-manager core. Um, that it certainly seems to me like the scope here for this to be something like what we did with AWS, where they created their own private CA issuer, then we onboarded that into the cert-manager organization as like a central place. Um, that's an option for down the road if we wanted to sort of have this productionized. Obviously, it can live anywhere; it doesn't really matter. But there's a lot of options and there's a lot of scope to work together and make this successful. So I suppose if you're working on something, that's awesome. Please do share, keep in touch. If you want to create a GitHub issue for tracking this, that would be awesome as well. It'd be a great way to capture this stuff centrally. And yeah, there's certainly appetite for this problem to be solved. within the maintainers as well as in the community.
That's great to hear. Yeah, and first off, we just wanted to make sure that we're not going to go off with something that isn't aligning with the general thinking of the group here. And we'll definitely work on the POC a bit. Yeah, come back with that, but also keep the conversation going. We'll start a GitHub issue in the meantime.
Perfect. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Did anyone else have anything on that topic, or shall we plow forwards? Onwards we go. There is still nothing else in the agenda that I'm seeing beyond the triaging stuff. Unfortunately, GitHub seems to be quite slow at the moment. Oh, Tim, sorry, have you got something at the end there?
Yeah, I had an item. So
Yeah.
basically, this again is about the design document for the configuration of the images in the Helm chart. I just want to get some attention on the new part that I added, where I added a table that explains the difference and kind of the breaking changes that are part of this proposed change, of the current proposed change. So I'll actually send you a link with the exact table. So that's the table. And that should kind of give you an idea. And what I would like to do is get people looking at this table, and then for people to add some comments there, trying to maybe improve these scenarios, try to fix what happens in case of these different inputs. Does that make sense? And hopefully that will kind of unblock this whole design document, and then we can merge it and make the change too.
Fair enough. What are you looking for from this meeting? Are you presenting it? Are you looking for a discussion or anything, or just where are you at?
Well, I think it might take some time for people to actually read this and try to understand everything. So what I would like from this meeting is that people are interested and they take a look, and they take some time to read this document again. Also, I know that some people already read the document, the design document, and to take a look again, because I added some stuff. Like I added some more context I tried to make things more clear. So yeah, please take a look and then add some comments again, because normally all the comments should have been addressed, or like the comments asking for more information. The big outstanding comment was like, what are the exact breaking changes that you're proposing? And that's what I added in the table too. So
Sweet.
Yeah, please take a look.
Thank you for updating it. I shall. The way that I designate something as being important is I pin it in Firefox as a tab, so consider it pinned.
Awesome, thank you.
Brilliant. Okay, now I do believe we have finished the agenda. There's just the triaging stuff that Mladen has put together. We've got 25 minutes left in theory. Did anyone else have anything they wanted to bring up that isn't on the agenda before we start triaging stuff? It seems like that's a no. So we have got plenty to triage. let me make sure that I've not. Yeah, I'll share my screen so we have got something to work around. I have so many windows open. Okie dokie. This is the first one in the triage list that Mladen has come up with.
Yeah. So I took a look at this, and I kind of have a feeling the renewal window PR might help in this scenario. Uh, I'm not totally sure if it will address the issue, but looks like it will. Uh, Let me know if you guys think the same.
I think it has potential to help, but only with a bit of manual effort. Like, if I have 100 certificates issued on the same within the same day, and they're all zeroed on the same day, so they're going to reissue at the exact same time because zero SSL is resetting the day to zero, the time to zero. If I set all of those to have slightly different window sizes or slightly different window sizes, I can stagger the renewal throughout the day. But that is me manually doing that.
True,
Like,
true.
but maybe we can see if that does help. But a follow-up solution could be, so now we've got this config field that defines how and when we reissue. We could add a jitter field to it, which just adds a bit of pseudo randomness to it.
Hmm.
So
I
within the window, you can add jitter. So if they all have the same window, it'll just stagger it through that window.
Yep, that definitely sounds like a plan.
I was just about to
yeah.
say that that would be a good idea regardless of this issue. Like in general,
Just having a jitter field that you can just say,
yeah.
yeah.
I suppose I'm imagining a lot of ways to shoot yourself in the foot with that. Um, a jitter of a day on a cert that only lasts for a day, stuff like that. But I suppose if as long as it's not us that shoots them in the foot and it's them that shoots themselves in the foot, then that's not so bad.
But
It does.
couldn't we calculate the jitter, allow jitter as a function of the duration as we do for the renewal time?
Certainly can. I it seems like the simplest simplest way to help them.
Especially with this new config that you've added with the Windows, which is great. We've got this new config block which lets us define when things are renewed. Like having being able to set, I've got these windows. These windows are all uh, my 8 hour work days. So I'd like my jitter to be 1 hour, so it will fluctuate within the 1 hour. Almost it may renew at the same time, but they'll fluctuate within a 1 hour window.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's
that
interesting that
kind
Zero SSL has this behavior as well. Like that,
Yeah.
that's worth calling out that this is funky.
yep, definitely.
So
Yeah,
can
actually,
I
I can
order a
Google
certificate like at 5 minutes to midnight and have it be valid for the past?
I, I'm kind of Zero SSL is they do issue publicly trusted certs, right?
I think
I kind
so.
of feel like this doesn't feel like it would meet the CAB forum guidelines for certs. Like it just the guidelines are so strict, it feels like this couldn't possibly be within them to do this. But now isn't the time for me to dig into that. Either way, I suppose I should be good and triage well. So I suppose this is priority important long term. It's only one issuer. It's not the biggest deal, but it'd be a good thing to have.
Yeah, yeah, and I can create a follow-up issue for the jitter stuff with the renewal window stuff.
Oh, fantastic. And I will log that here.
So you're not in favor of adding a jitter to cert-manager certificates in general for the renewal time?
I would be pretty relaxed about that, I think. It's rarely going to hurt in a distributed system to have a little bit of jitter here and there.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I meant like, I guess we could do it separately too. Like, it doesn't have to be part of the Windows spec at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm suggesting is actually introducing a jitter without users having to do anything with their certificates.
I think my gut instinct is that doing it by default would be a net negative
For what
because
reason?
I think it's nice to have it be deterministic, and I realize that nice isn't the best technical justification I can give. I just it's vibes based, but like I feel I wouldn't want it by default, and I can't really justify it beyond that. I wouldn't like oppose it or um be really against it. I can't see like most of the stuff doesn't have this problem. I don't know that we yeah, I'm not saying anything intelligent.
Well, I also manage Kafka, and we have certificates for each of the brokers. One problem we originally had was that the certificates were issued with the same lifetime and issued at the same time, which means that the renewal was taking place at all brokers at approximately the same time, which is not something you want to happen.
Hmm.
You want to spread it out. So I would think in general it would make sense to just say it will be renewed at approximately 2/3 of its lifetime.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. I can't really give you a good reason why I feel like I would turn it off if I had the option, but it makes sense. Like it does make sense, and cert managers CPU usage is going to spike when we reissue things, especially now that private keys rotate by default. Having a bit of jitter to spread the CPU spikes out would help a lot on some
Yeah.
in some scenarios. It makes a lot of sense to me.
And what happens is that when you introduce a small jitter, I mean the renewal cycles will drift over time, so they become better and better over time.
Unless you're zero SL and you zero the thing every time. Tim's got his hand up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say, I also think it's a good idea. It's probably something we put behind like a feature gate, and it will require a lot of documentation updates. But yeah, I think it's good because often environments will be created like from zero, right? And then all certificates will kind of be renewed at the same time. And if we create like a window in which certificates are renewed instead, then that kind of fixes that issue. We just pick a random point in that period. We say the renewal will definitely be triggered between this and this time, for example.
Mhm. It's a good point.
Like between 6/10 and 7/10 of its lifespan, for example.
Yeah, it makes sense. That certainly increases the chances of having a renewal spike all at the same time. That if you're spinning a cluster and creating everything all at once, that makes sense. Okay, so um, we'd agree, a broad agreement that this is a good thing to have.
Yep.
An issue will
Yeah.
be created, and I've triaged the issue we had.
Do we want to add a
So
comment to the issue saying we talked about it in stand-ups, we don't have capacity right now, etc., etc.
good shout. I'll get to watch me type for a
Yeah,
moment. It's not the most exciting viewing on YouTube, but it's something.
I think it's great. You'll have to watch me type when I host this. So Doing really well. You've not made any spelling mistakes yet.
I'm secretly Claude Code, just under the hood. Um,
Do you want to also paste the link for the renewal Windows PR meanwhile so that they can
yeah,
track that?
sure thing. You can see there that I had your PR pinned, so that means it's important to me. The callback to what I said earlier.
You have too many tabs open, Ashley.
This is light compared to what's
It's
been
because
open.
CyberArk blocks one tab, so he has no other choice.
Uh,
Well, you read at that comment. I wanted to also just apologize for going radio silent here for a while, guys. I just transitioned to a new role internally at CyberArk, now a SME covering machine identity and AI, and it's been one hell of a transition. So I've gotten through that part, and I'll be regularly coming in and contributing on the whole Nginx debacle that we had discussed previously.
all right, it's great to have you back, and I'm glad you're coming to the end of that transition. That's
Thank you.
um,
I'll be hanging out with a lot of your team over at JetStack now, Ashley.
I look forward to it. Um, on the interest of time, let's push through. We've got probes for cert-manager CA inject the pod. Alinta complains that we don't have probes on the pod. Uh, so my initial reaction to this is I don't really know why it would need a liveness probe. Um,
Yeah,
I don't love that linter warning, but a readiness probe. Is it possible to think of one? Maybe like
I mean, you could have the default controller runtime one of I've started.
yeah.
I mean,
why are you opposed to having probes, Ashley?
A liveness probe specifically because I don't think this can deadlock. But like I had a good resource at one point for why like liveness probes might not be the thing that you want a lot of the time. Um,
yeah,
I
like
don't know why
liveness will
that is.
kill it, and we have no situation where we need to hard kill it.
Yeah.
Whereas red, I'm sure I'm readiness, but yeah, I'm like you. I can't think of like things that we'd probe.
Uh,
It's not got a
It's not really.
webhook. It's not got anything like that running, and it's just
Yeah.
There's go routines inside, so I mean, they could. I'm not an expert on this, but I don't see the harm of adding probes to all our pods. But
I certainly wouldn't. Um, I think there may well be value in probes. It's just I'm opposed in general. I think to adding all kinds of probe to all kinds of pod because I think there's a time for some of them and there's a time for not having some of them on some kinds of pods. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't add one or all of them to this pod. It's just my reflexive reaction is just because a linter says that they're good doesn't like this is one where I don't necessarily trust the linter off the bat. But
So
yeah.
this
The only readiness thing I think we care about is have I started and got to a point where I'm polling for leadership? Like, have I got to a point where my client has successfully talked to the API server and therefore I can poll for leadership?
hmm,
so there's already PR open for this actually.
have you got a link to that?
Yeah, I sent the link in the chat.
Sorry, but um, wow. So first things first is to link these two together. Um, So this is adding liveness and readiness, yeah. And maybe changing some other stuff as well by the looks of it. Okay, is I suppose now's probably not the time to do a live review of, of this. Um,
I would also help review, but I'm not getting the unicorn right now.
Yeah, me too. I would probably be in favor of something like this, but I don't want to do something that you don't want to be on board with.
I think having
uh,
a liveness probe, I can't think of a situation we want to kill it, so liveness probes don't make sense to me. I think readiness probes, sure. Typically, I care more about readiness probes for things that have servers in front of them because you want them to be ready before they hit taking traffic. But there's no harm in adding them here.
True.
Certainly, like I wouldn't just want to wave it through because it's the kind of thing that I need to sit and think about. But I'm gonna at least try to look at this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna uh, add it to my calendar, which is my other way of signifying that something is important.
Yeah, I think I reviewed it from a code perspective. I didn't think of the meanings of probes.
Yeah, like it's some internally at CyberArk. I hope I'm not giving away too much secret sauce here, but we went over all of our components um, to evaluate the situation with readiness and liveness probes. And we did spend a good amount of time thinking about where it made sense and where it didn't make sense. And that included open source stuff where we thought, should we add it in the open source? And we didn't see a reason for many different components. We didn't see a reason to change the situation because looking at it holistically, it didn't seem to make sense. That doesn't mean we shouldn't do this or anything. I guess what I'm saying is we did think about this a while back, specifically in the context of CA injector and other open source stuff as well. So maybe I can dig that out and share that thinking if it's still around, or either way, this deserves attention, and I've got it on my calendar now to take a look. So as such,
Default controller runner probes is pretty lightweight, as far as I know.
mhm.
Just sets up a server and responds okay.
Yeah, it literally just the ping response is literally like
Yeah.
always true,
Yep.
Yeah.
It
which
shows
is
that like something
what
code is running.
yeah, which you can also tell if you're a simple container that has one process, you can also tell that the process has not crashed, therefore it is fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was one of my comment too. Anyway, moving it.
probably got time to do one more. Um, this I believe I looked at, but I don't think I commented on.
Yeah,
I
this is
looked
the
at it
one that
because Eric.
this got one that we talked about I think before. It's just been turned into a PR now.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. There was just a commit floating about. I remember.
Yeah, it was, I think there was broad consensus of yeah, that's fine. There's no harm in that.
Yeah. Uh, so where I was with this, it's all coming back to me now. Is I wanted to test it, and then I realized I was going to need to like basically make an issue with it did the wrong thing, and I could not be bothered or find the time to do that. So I wanted to actually test it and just check in real world outside of unit tests that this was fixed, and I didn't.
Yeah. Related to this PR, the guy that joined our meeting discussing this from France, I think, he posted a question whether he should update the docs in this area.
Mhm.
Maybe make it clearer to users that this is something that can happen if you issue certificates from multiple places using the same domain. That some issuers are misbehaving in that case.
Fair enough.
I noticed that
Well,
in the comment for the issue certificate function, it already says that it does check the public key. I added the comment for that in the PR. GitHub is a bit slow, so it's hard for me to find it. Okay, yeah, there's already an answer actually to that.
So you mean the issue is not present anymore? Or
No, apparently, like there is a comment saying that we check it, but the comment is wrong, which is weird. I posted the link in the chat, but we'll have to update the comment too then, because now we're kind of checking it outside of the function.
GitHub is
Um,
really shitting the bed, isn't it? Yeah. I think that comment maybe got confused because we do check this stuff here where we're checking that the CSR's public key matches the key that we have generated. The CSR corresponds to our private key, but we're not checking the issued certificate. So I guess the comment was confused. That's my best guess. In any case, I've added another thing to my own calendar to check this tomorrow, and I might just wave it through because I can't really see how it's going to be a problem. But
All the end-to-end tests pass, so
yeah, because I said before I'd like to do a little issuer lib mini CA issuer that always returns a wrong certificate just for testing this. I think it would be a good way to flex my issuer lib foo. But
I think it'd be good because you could also have it. You could also have the same binary do different wrong things depending on different input, and we could use it as generic bad actor issuer.
mm, yeah, like. It sounds like the easiest thing in the world, create code that's broken. Like, I think I can do that. AI can surely help with that, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could vibe code the hell out of that. It'd be broken. It'd be broken in ways you didn't expect.
Did somebody say vibe coping and breaking things in ways that they couldn't expect? That's my specialty, Adam.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, I say I'll take a look at that tomorrow, and I think that's probably enough for today. I'll capture the stuff that we didn't get around to.
Yeah, the
About
last one I took a look at it. That was just a linter thing again. So
fair enough. Cool. Well, it's coming up to 6 o'clock London time, so thank you everyone for joining. Great to have you all here. If you're watching this on YouTube, like and subscribe. I can't stop myself from saying it.